Hello, asifa members, and thank you for tuning in to watch our half-hour animated short, Robin Robin. My name's Mikey, please.
And I'm Dan Ojari, and we're the co-writers and directors of this film. We have a long history of making shorts with the films such as Eagleman Stag and Slow Derek, and we set up a small studio together called Parabella about 8 years ago, where we've made a variety of short-form animation, whilst also developing long-form projects, TV shows, and a graphic novel.
Robin Robin is a project we've been passionate about making pretty much since we first started working together. It began as a story we came up with late one night in the studio about a robin who was raised by a family of burglar mice. And then each year around Christmas time, we would tell this story to like our friends and family or anyone generous enough to listen, and take note of when they started to walk away that perhaps that was an area of the story that needed work.
That process of oral retelling was key in refining the story of Robin Robin, to the point that when we went to Annecy Film Festival and bumped into Sarah Cox, the head of development at Aardman, we felt comfortable enough to pitch and even sing her a small song in the back of a crowded canteen. We should probably mention here that the film is a musical, hence the singing was appropriate.
Both Dan and I were raised upon the sweet milk of Aardman's films, so that we might get the chance to make Robin Robin with them, and with their team of incredibly talented and experienced craft people, was truly a thrill and not at all a lot of pressure. And when we found out that Netflix were equally as excited about telling the story with us, we had to pinch ourselves and each other to make sure that we weren't dreaming. That's a small pinch. Sure.
Once we were greenlit, the film took a little under 2 years to make. It probably would have been quicker, except we started filming, as fate would have it, 1 month before the global pandemic. So our production, along with so many others, faced some difficult practical obstacles very early on. Of course, being stop-motion animation, remote working wasn't an option. But Netflix and Aardman were able to set up some working procedures, and essentially they had to rebuild the studio into a sort of safe environment so we were able to get back to business, keep on filming.
The break in the shooting schedule did allow us to continue to develop the story side of the project with our amazing team of story artists and our composers, the Bookshop Band. We've been collaborating with them for a very long time, probably our first collaboration was about 14 years ago, partly because one of the members is my brother. But Robin Robin was our 10th project together. The Bookshop Band were able to feed us lots of melodies and amazing sketches of score right at the beginning, so that we were able to build the story and the music concurrently, with the two of them feeding back and forth to each other.
We worked with them to develop a music script, which is similar to a colour script, except instead of showing the ways in which colour builds and changes throughout the film, the music script told the progression of the music themes and how that would tell the story. For example, you'll see how Robin's song and the mice's sneak song progress alongside each other to eventually combine during the final act.
The actual colours, and indeed many of the other visual design aspects, including the character design and the overall production design, came from a close collaboration with illustrator Matthew Forsyth. So Matthew's paintings have this wonderful depth of colour, a little bit like a Lucian Freud painting, in that many hues were built up on top of each other to build a single impression of a colour. And as well as just being very lovely to look at, there were also great thematic parallels with Robin's story, where two different things can come together and sort of overlap to make something that's even more wonderful.
Our particular approach to stop-motion filmmaking takes great influence from illustration, in that we like to, where possible, keep shapes and silhouettes very graphic and build compositions to camera rather than create a 3D environment and move the camera around it. So Matt's approach to character design was a perfect fit, in that we were also trying to keep the characters as simple and streamlined as possible. You'll see, for example, that Robin is indeed shaped like a Christmas bauble.
We have a fantastic cast with the likes of Gillian Anderson playing the cat, Adil Akhtar as Dad Mouse, and Bronte Carmichael as Robin. In terms of character inspiration, Richard E. Grant, in his with nail jacket, had sat central in the pinboard for the character of Magpie since the very early conception of the project. So when he actually agreed to voice the character, it was a very, very exciting day for us.
Oh, yeah. Every element on screen was filmed in camera. We love CG animated films, but it was our aesthetic choice to try and not use any CG in this production, which created some challenges. Because our film is set in winter, we wanted a lot of atmospherics, so snow, rain and mist, as well as other elements such as fire and water and smoke. So we ended up filming these elements on a traditional multiplane glass rostrum setup. So they all felt very handmade and organic and stop-motion-y and very much part of the world. But then the task of integrating could have felt a little collage-like and pasted on top, were it not for our incredible team of VFX artists.
One of the innovations our VFX supervisor introduced was to film a large portion of Robin Robin in stereoscopic. He would take 2 pictures for every frame from the left eye and right eye position. And though we weren't making a 3D film, this gave us depth information so that we were able to create a 3D map of each set and the characters moving through it, which allowed effects to be integrated in a realistic way. So this meant that we could have like trees disappearing into the mist, rain passing behind blades of grass, and characters moving through it all without the need of green screen or rotoscoping.
Where some of the more simple shots were pretty much captured straight in the can. Others, such as the fireworks scene, used around 60 plates, different light exposures, elements, character animation, all expertly made to feel like one image by our VFX team. So though it's all in camera, there's a huge amount of work that goes into pulling it all together.
Well, thank you so much for sticking with us through this perhaps slightly rambling introduction, but hopefully it's given you a little insight into how the film came together, and we really hope you enjoy it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.